Welcome back to Not Financial Advice, where we celebrate the absolute chaos of capitalism. I'm here to talk about people who got obscenely rich from ideas so dumb they're actually genius. Or maybe just dumb. I honestly can't tell anymore. So buckle up, because by the end of this video, you'll either feel inspired or deeply confused about how money works. Probably both. And hey, if you're enjoying the financial chaos, smash that subscribe button. It's free, unlike therapy, which you might need after this video. Okay, let's start with the absolute king of dumb ideas, the pet rock. In 1975, a guy named Gary Dahl was sitting in a bar as all great business ideas start, and his friends were complaining about their pets. Dogs, cats, actual living creatures that require food and care. Gary, who was clearly several drinks deep, thought, what if, and hear me out, what if we just sold people rocks? Yes, just rocks. Not smart rocks, not tech-enabled rocks, just regular rocks from a beach in Mexico. But here's where Gary was actually kind of brilliant in his stupidity. He didn't just sell rocks, he sold them in custom cardboard boxes, designed like pet carriers. He made them complete with even breathing holes for a rock. And included in those carriers were a 32-page training manual with instructions on how to teach your rock to sit and stay. Just like how you would train a regular pet. For example, one of his manuals literally read, place your rock on the ground, say sit, and he would tell them, congratulations, your rock is now sitting. Genius. This man sold 1.5 million pet rocks at $4 each in just 6 months. That's $6 million in 1975 money, which is about $35 million today. From selling rocks, Gary made about $1 profit per rock. The rocks cost him 1 penny. 1 penny. He spent more on the box than the actual product. The lesson here, it's not about what you're selling, it's about how you sell it. Gary didn't sell rocks, he sold a joke, a conversation starter, a way to be the funny person at a party. He sold vibes, and the vibes were immaculate. Unfortunately, the pet rock fad died by February 1976, but Gary lived like a king for the rest of his life. He passed away in 2015, and I guarantee his gravestone should just be a rock with "I told you so" carved into it. Okay, next up, Crocs. You know them. You either love them or think they're the ugliest things ever created by mankind. There is no in-between. Here's the thing though, Crocs are worth over $3 billion. The company has sold over 700 million pairs of these foam clogs that look like Swiss cheese had a baby with a garden shoe. Let me say that again. 700 million pairs of admittedly ugly shoes. The story starts in 2002. 3 guys, Scott Siemens, Lyndon Hansen, and George Bodecker, were on a sailing trip in the Caribbean. Scott showed up wearing these weird foam clogs made by a Canadian company called Foam Creations. They were originally designed as spa shoes. The other guys tried them on and had this revelation. These are incredibly comfortable, they're waterproof, they're slip-resistant, and they're absolutely hideous. People are going to buy these. So they bought the rights to the design, modified it slightly, and named them Crocs because they were supposed to be good for water activities like crocodiles. They added the strap, they added those holes for ventilation, and boom, Crocs were born. They launched at a boat show in Florida in 2002 and sold out all 200 pairs they brought. Not because they were fashionable, but because boaters, sailors, and water sports people immediately got it. These shoes were functional. But here's where it gets wild. In 2004, they started marketing them beyond just boat people. They went after nurses, chefs, teachers, gardeners, anyone who stood on their feet all day, and it worked. Hospitals started recommending them because they were easy to clean, slip-resistant, and comfortable for 12-hour shifts. Restaurant kitchens loved them because they didn't absorb grease and were closed-toe for safety. By 2006, Crocs were selling faster than they could make them. The company went public in 2006 at $21 per share. By the end of the first day of trading, shares hit $70. The 3 founders were instant multimillionaires. George Bodecker, who had invested about $10,000 initially, was worth over $300 million within 4 years. By 2007, the peak of Croc mania, the company was selling 50 million pairs a year. They opened stores in malls, they made versions in every color imaginable. They made platform Crocs, fuzzy-lined Crocs, high-heel Crocs. Yes, those exist and they're as horrifying as you imagine. They also introduced gibbets, those little charm things you stick in the holes. This was genius from a business perspective. Parents would buy their kids Crocs, then the kids would want to buy 3/5 charms to customize them. It was basically accessories for shoes that were already weird. The company that made gibbets sold to Crocs for $10 million. Those little pieces of plastic created a whole secondary market. But here's the dark side. Fashion critics hated Crocs with a burning passion. Time magazine put them on their 50 worst inventions list, alongside things like New Coke and the Segway. Vogue called them ugly and a fashion don't. A Washington Post fashion writer said, and I quote, "It looks like a plastic hoof. There were literal protest groups online dedicated to hating Crocs. A website called IHateCrocs.com got thousands of visitors. People would post photos of Crocs with captions like "crime against fashion." And you know what Crocs did? They leaned into it. They basically said, yeah, they're ugly, so what? They're comfortable. They knew their market wasn't fashionistas, it was people who prioritized function over form. Then 2008 happened. The financial crisis hit. People stopped buying non-essential items. Crocs, which had massively overexpanded with stores and production facilities, suddenly had warehouses full of unsold shoes. The stock price crashed from $70 to under $1. The company laid off 2,000 employees. They closed 160 stores. Financial analysts were writing obituaries for the company. Everyone assumed Crocs was a fad that had died. Fashion magazines were practically throwing parties. From 2008 to 2014, Crocs was barely hanging on, trying to reinvent themselves with less ugly designs that nobody wanted. But then something magical happened. Around 2016-2017, celebrities started wearing Crocs ironically. Drew Barrymore wore them. Post Malone wore them. It became this weird statement: I'm so confident, I can wear the ugliest shoes ever made and not care what you think. Then 2020 hit. Pandemic, lockdowns, work from home, nobody's going anywhere. Fashion becomes completely irrelevant. You know what people wanted? Comfort. And you know what's comfortable? Those ugly foam shoes sitting in the back of everyone's closet. Crocs sales exploded. 2020 revenue was up 12.6%. 2021 was up another 67%. The stock price went from $1 to over $180. The company was suddenly worth more than it had ever been. But Crocs also got smart. They started doing collaborations. They partnered with Justin Bieber, and his Crocs sold out in minutes. They collaborated with Bad Bunny, sold out instantly. They did a partnership with Balenciaga, yes, the luxury fashion house, and sold platform Crocs for $850 for Crocs, and people bought them. They collaborated with KFC and made fried chicken-scented Crocs with little drumstick gibbets. They partnered with Hidden Valley Ranch and made ranch-themed Crocs. These weren't just shoes anymore, they were cultural moments. Each collaboration would trend on Twitter, get millions of impressions, and sell out. Gen Z discovered Crocs and started wearing them unironically. Suddenly, the same shoe that millennials mocked in the 2000s became cool to younger people. Fashion magazines that had trashed them for years suddenly had to write articles like, "Are Crocs actually cool now?" Today, Crocs sells over 100 million pairs per year. The company is worth over $5 billion. They've sold over 700 million pairs since 2002. They're in over 85 countries, and they're still ugly. The lesson here: comfort beats fashion every time in the long run. Also, if people hate your product enough, just wait. Culture is cyclical. What's uncool becomes ironically cool, which becomes genuinely cool. Crocs didn't succeed by being beautiful. They succeeded by being so unapologetically ugly and comfortable that eventually people respected the audacity. They built a billion-dollar empire on foam clogs, and they did it by not caring what the haters thought. Also, if your company is dying, just wait for a global pandemic. That's definitely a sustainable business strategy. Alright, let's talk about fidget spinners. Remember 2017, when every single person on planet Earth had one of those spinning things? When teachers were confiscating them like they were contraband? When grown adults were doing fidget spinner tricks on YouTube? Here's the wildest part: the woman who invented fidget spinners, Catherine Hettinger, made $0 from the craze. She invented them in the 1990s as a toy for kids with ADHD and anxiety. She patented it, tried to sell it to toy companies, and everyone said no thanks. Her patent expired in 2005 because she couldn't afford the $400 renewal fee. Then, in 2017, some random Chinese manufacturers started mass-producing them, and they became the hottest toy of the year. Everyone made millions except the inventor. But here's where it gets interesting. Random people on Amazon and eBay who had zero connection to the original design were making bank. One guy in Texas ordered 1,000 fidget spinners from China for $2 each, sold them on Amazon for $15 each, and made $13,000 in profit in 1 week before the market got saturated. People were buying warehouses full of fidget spinners. YouTubers were making millions in ad revenue just from fidget spinner content. There were fidget spinner competitions with prize money. The total market for fidget spinners in 2017, over $500 million. And it all happened in about 6 months before everyone collectively realized, wait, what are we even doing with these things? The lesson: sometimes being first doesn't matter. Sometimes being fast matters more. And sometimes the real money is in being the middleman who capitalizes on temporary insanity. Also, if you have a patent, maybe pay the $400 renewal fee. Now let's talk about the people who got rich by literally just typing words into the internet really fast. In the 1990s, when the internet was brand new, some absolute geniuses realized something: companies are going to want website domains. And domains cost like $20 to register. So people started registering everything. Pizza.com, business.com, insure.com. Basically, they bought up every generic word or company name they could think of. The most famous case? A guy named Mark Ostrovsky bought business.com in 1999 for $150,000 for a website name. He sold it in 2007 for $705 million. Then the new owner sold it in 2020 for another undisclosed sum rumored to be even higher. But it gets better. Pizza.com sold for $2.6 million. Voice.com sold for $30 million. Hotels.com sold for $11 million. NFT.com recently sold for undisclosed millions during the NFT craze. There's a guy named Chris Clark who owned Pizza.com. He bought it in 1994 for $20. He held on to it for 14 years while pizza companies kept offering him more and more money. He finally sold it in 2008 for $2.6 million. That's a 130,000% return on investment for typing Pizza.com into a computer in 1994 and paying $20. The crazy part, people are still doing this. When random crypto coins or trends pop up, people race to register related domain names. When Dogecoin became popular, people bought dogecoinwallet.com, buydogecoin.com, and sold them for tens of thousands. The lesson: sometimes the dumbest sounding investment is the best one. Also, if you can see the future even a little bit, you can get really, really rich. Quick bonus story, because this one's too good not to mention. In 2005, a 21-year-old British student named Alex 2 needed money for college. He created a website called the $1 Million Homepage. What was the concept? He would sell pixels on the homepage for $1 each. That's it. That's the whole business model. A 1,000 by 1,000 pixel grid. You pay $1 per pixel, minimum purchase of 100 pixels. You get to put your logo and link on the page. Everyone thought he was insane. Who would pay for pixels on some random website? He made $1 million in 5 months. Companies bought ad space because it was weird and viral. Media covered it because it was absurd. More companies bought space because everyone was talking about it. It became a self-fulfilling prophecy. Alex 2 made $1 million from literally having a weird idea, making a simple website, and watching the internet do its thing. He's now the founder of Calm, the meditation app worth over $2 billion, so clearly, he knows something we don't. So what have we learned today? Pet rocks made millions. Ugly shoes made billions. Fidget spinners made millions for everyone except the inventor. Domain squatters became millionaires by typing words quickly, and a guy sold pixels for $1 million. The pattern? Every single one of these people either 1. Solved a problem nobody knew they had, which is comfort and stress relief for Crocs. 2. Created something so dumb it became a conversation piece, like the pet rocks and pixels. 3. Got in early on something nobody else took seriously, like the domain names in the early internet days. 4. Capitalized on temporary insanity like the fidget spinners. Now, is this inspiring? Or terrifying? Or both? Yes. The beautiful chaos of capitalism is that sometimes the dumbest ideas work because they're dumb. Sometimes ugliness becomes beautiful. Sometimes useless becomes essential. And sometimes being in the right place at the right time with a stupid idea is worth more than having a smart idea at the wrong time. So if you have a dumb business idea, maybe don't ignore it. Gary Dahl's friends thought he was crazy for wanting to sell rocks. Now he's a legend. Just remember, this is not financial advice. If you lose money trying to create the next pet rock, that's on you. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more financial chaos, and drop a comment telling me what's the dumbest way you'd want to get rich. I'll see you in the next one. Stay rich, or at least stay entertained.